I'm Melissa Shanahan, and this is the Velocity Work Podcast, episode number 70. This podcast is for attorneys who are running their own firms. We explore tactics, tools, and stories related to pushing past simply lawyering well and into building a successful firm. Working in your firm and working on your business are two very different things. This podcast focuses on the latter. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode. So thankful that you're here and ready to rock with you today. There are so many fun, exciting things happening over here. The first I should tell you about is that I'm teaching a class on December 17th. You should definitely come to. I taught a version of this class a little over a month ago, and it was called Speed Up Success with Personal Processes. And I'm basically calling this one Personal Processes 2.0 because I went back. It was a great class. We had a lot of attendees, and it was fun to dig in with people. But I went back and I watched it, and right after I finished, I was like, oh, I could have shown them this, or I could have helped them here. Went back and watched it, got my thoughts together, and have done a lot of work on it since then. And now it's version 2.0 is ready for you guys. And the reason this is important, you've heard me probably say this prior on a podcast, but I'm going to say it again. There is a huge emphasis on putting systems and processes in our businesses. And I'm yes to that all day long. But what is missing, there's a missing conversation about personal processes for you as the owner. What processes do you need? What systems do you need? Not your business, not inside of your business, you and how you operate. It changes everything. This is the stuff that I work on with people. Of course we set goals. Of course we set rocks. Of course we talk about culture. We make a really good strategic plan for my clients' practices. But if they are not operating at their highest level, then they're wasting their money on the strategic plan. It really does matter how you show up. So that's what this whole class was born from, that idea. And now I'm even clearer on how to help you do that, how to teach you how to do that for yourself so that it is a skill that you can keep applying over and over and over as time goes on. So come to this class, because even if you attended the last time, this is going to be different. It's almost a workshop style because I'm going to provide worksheets and you're going to spend some time thinking and creating for yourself. And I'm happy to help help you do that on the call. But I'm going to facilitate it so that you walk away having one personal process that you can implement immediately that's customized to you. So come to the class so you can do this and help yourself start to make headway in a different way, tighten up, so to speak. And yeah, it's going to be great. Come to class. To attend, go to velocitywork.com/PP, which stands for personal processes. velocitywork.com/PP. The other thing that's very exciting, which isn't available yet, but it will be pretty soon, we are opening the doors for the January sprint. We've already opened them to clients and to current members of Mastery Group. So they are enrolling and have access, and then we will open it up to you guys here pretty soon. If you come to that class on the 17th, at the end, I'll share with you information about that. Even if you're not remotely interested in the sprint, which I don't know why you wouldn't be, it's amazing. But still, if that's just not your jam, there is still a ton of value in that class. Like, you're going to work on your own stuff in the class and walk away and have something to implement. You should come to that class. If you're not interested in the sprint, that's fine. If you are, I'll make sure that you have the information so that you will learn how to enroll so that you can hit the ground running on the first of the year. One really great thing about the Velocity Work Sprints is that it's a 30-day commitment. So it's not a long engagement. And it allows you, if you've never worked with us before, to really get a feel for what it's like and how we work with people. So that's a good thing. But on the other side, so not only will you learn that, but on the other side of things, you will knock it out of the park for your firm. What is it that you're going to focus on? What result are you going to create out of the gates for yourself and for your firm at the beginning of the year. And we facilitate that essentially. And so anyway, you'll learn more. You'll learn everything you need to learn, and you'll have access to seeing all this. But I'm telling you about it because we're pumped. We've done a lot of work behind the scenes to be able to open the doors for January Sprint, and we just did to our members and our clients. And you will have access soon. So keep your eyes and your ears open for that. The final thing that I thought I'd share with you guys, because I'm hoping that you all are doing this for yourself too, whether it's just you alone or whether you have a decent sized team. Velocity Work is having our team retreat this week, and we are taking 3 full days. It's going to be incredible. We have a good plan. We know exactly what we're going to get accomplished. It's going to be a good coming together, slowing down to speed up. So we are pretty pumped over here for that. And I hope that you guys have something like that for yourselves as well, so that it allows you to ensure that you're very intentional with what you enter into next year. So that's pretty exciting. There's so many good things happening over here. Clients are just killing it the last month of the year, which is incredible. And we're setting them up strong for next year. So many great things happening that I am thankful for and that I am excited about for clients. It's just the beginning, y'all. It is just the beginning. Let's dig into today's topic. So I taught a class last week you were invited to called Make Great Decisions and Always Get a Return on Your Investment. The class was awesome, and I thought I would share a few nuggets here. It's not the same as the curriculum of the class, but I wanted to give you some things to think about, because this really is an issue for many business owners, many owner attorneys. I have done a lot of this work on myself, and I have noticed a huge improvement with myself using what I was teaching. But I do think, there's still room for me to improve. And no matter how good you think you are at making decisions and the speed at which you make decisions, there's a takeaway here, no matter where you are on the spectrum. So I wanted to share a few things here in case you weren't in the class. Let's start with the problem, which is indecision. The reason that that's a problem is because when you don't make a decision, you're unconsciously making a decision. It's like this general state of limbo that you allow a small part of you to remain in, even though you move on with other areas of your life. And a really good example is, especially because this is my world, but you can apply this to anything, is if you are considering a coaching program of some sort and you look at the option, like the option in front of you is either do the coaching program or not. And you look at the option and you're like, well, I don't really know what I should do, so I'm just going to wait to make the decision. We do that with all kinds of things. I hear this all the time from owner attorneys about they're not sure if they should get this software or not, if they should buy this product or not, if they should hire this employee or not, if they should whatever. Like, there's all these things where I don't know. And they kind of stay in this I don't know. And it doesn't really seem to affect their life too much. And so they just allow the I don't know to be there and they keep going. It's very disempowering, and it's a very inefficient to run that way. We'll talk about why it's so important to be decisive in just a minute. I'll give you some specific reasons. But what I want to say to that is, what would be much more empowering is to make a call, make a decision. Don't be or remain an indecision. And so if you're looking at this coaching program and you're like, instead of saying, I don't know what I should do, so I'm just going to wait to make the decision. What would be much more empowering is to say, that's a no for me right now. It might be a yes in the future, but for me right now, that's a no. And you kind of close the file, so to speak. Or it's a yes, right? This kind of goes back to that whole idea that you've probably heard. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. It's similar to that. But that's oversimplified, I think, and it's worth going into a bit of a conversation around it. So don't be in limbo, or because you don't be in that energy of I don't know. Don't lie to yourself about the confusion. Just make a call. Make a call best with the information that you have. If you need more information, go get the information and then make a call. Do not leave this file open and remain in limbo and remain in this state of indecision. That's the real thing. That's what I want to prevent for all of you, whether it's something very small, whether it's a gift that you want to get for someone and you don't know the gift, or whether it is a coaching program, or whatever it is, small or big, it takes up space. So that's why we're talking about this. Now, there's 4 reasons why you should be decisive. The first is that it saves time. Being in confusion, being in I don't know, being in indecision, it wastes time. It's indulgent and it burns up your time. I don't know what I should track. I don't know if I should hire that person. I don't know if I should get that software. That keeps us in limbo, and that costs us our time. So the first reason, big reason to decide, is that it saves time. The second reason is that it increases your action. Many of us are not taking enough action towards what we want. Indecision prevents us from contributing to the world. It prevents any contribution to the world because we stay in this indecision. When we don't make decisions, we tend to consume more information or food or alcohol or, right? But we tend to consume more. But when you make a decision, then you can start taking action towards that decision. As soon as you say, yes, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, you start taking action and you learn so much. And when we do that, we participate in the world. We show up in a better way instead of just holding out and staying in indecision and not knowing what we should do. And it feels harmless, but it doesn't produce anything for ourselves. And in fact, it wastes time. The third reason that being decisive is important is that it increases our growth. The way we evolve is by expanding our experience. And the way we expand our experience is by making decisions and doing something. Confusion is the opposite of that. Indecision is the opposite of that. So it increases your growth when you are decisive. The fourth reason it's important to be decisive is that it increases your confidence. You increase your confidence by taking action and learning. As soon as you make a decision and you get out of I don't know energy, your insecurity goes away. Think about how you feel when you're confused, when you're doubting, when you're hemming and hawing, and then think about how you feel when you're decisive. When you make a decision and you back yourself up on that decision, that's a whole different feeling state. It's the opposite of insecurity. It's like once the decision is made, then you feel more confident. The way that we have to think in order to make decisions and have our own backs is the kind of thinking that creates the feeling of confidence. And when you create the feeling of confidence, you want to make more decisions. You're kind of on a path of making more decisions. And the more decisions you make, the more you increase your growth, the more you increase your action, and the more time you save, and the more confidence you get. So it's this cycle. Being decisive, it creates such a good spin out. Not to be missed. There's a few points I want to share with you that I think will be really good food for thought as you move forward. My hope is that it increases your awareness about yourself and gets you to stop and evaluate before you just head down a path of indecision without even realizing it. Because, and as the first point that I want to make, when you don't make a decision, you're making a decision. You're setting yourself on a path. It's almost like, when I think of indecision for myself as well as clients that I work with, it's almost like they're leaving a file open in their brain. And your job as the leader of your firm and the person who's running your firm and who's trying to grow your firm and have a life on top of that, you need to close as many files as possible in your brain. And when we stay in a state of indecision, it's like we're staying in a state of limbo. And even if it doesn't feel like it's a decision that's super urgent, having it open, having that file open in your brain, it creates inefficiency. It does take away from you. It takes up, if we have 100 watts of energy to use, it takes a watt or two. And if you have a few things like that, then it adds up. So you want to make sure that instead of saying, I don't know what to do, make a call. And if that means it's a no for you right now, it's a no. Then have your own back with that decision. And if it's a yes, then great. The second point I want to make here is that you go all in. That's the second thing I want you to think about. When you say yes to something, you go all in. You always have your own back, no matter what decision you make. And no matter what decision you make, you go all in. Like whatever is left after that decision is made to do, then you've got to go all in on it. And I'm telling you, the people who do this are the ones who get the biggest returns on their investment. If you make a decision and then you're a little bit passive with your action after the decision, then you're not going to get the return that you could. The easiest way to explain this is going back to this idea of a coaching program. If you're trying to decide if you want to do a coaching program or not, if you decide, yes, you're going to do the coaching program, but then you don't really go all in, you're not going to get the return on your investment that you could. It doesn't mean you won't get a return on your investment, but you make the difference. You're the difference maker there. And so, for instance, with a private client that signs up with me, if they decide, yes, I'm going to do this, I'm going to partner with Velocity Work, great. I am 100% in for that client. Now, if they aren't 100% in as well, and they don't show up at their 100%, then they're not going to get everything they could get from working together. When both parties give 100%, that's where magic happens. It doesn't matter whether it's a marriage, whether it's a client relationship. When both parties show up 100%, it makes all the difference. So every time you make a decision, you need to go all in for yourself on that decision and whatever that looks like. That makes a huge difference. Now, something worth mentioning here, and this just came up on a call. I did an advanced version of this class for Mastery Group. It was just today, actually, I did it. And one person brought something up that was such a good point. And so we got in this conversation about courage. The thing about going all in on your decision or even just making a decision, sometimes it doesn't feel good to exercise the courage that it requires to make the decision that you know you want to make or you should make. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because when you make a decision, it may require courage, and people think that courage should feel good. It sounds very noble, right? And so it should feel good. But the truth is, courage doesn't feel good. Real courage is like going into battle. This is freaking scary. I could die and I'm all in. That's courage. So of course, it's probably most of the time on a less dramatic scale, but that's what courage is. Courage doesn't feel good in the moment, but making a decision and just knowing this may be helpful. Making a decision may require courage. Another thing I think will be helpful to share is that there are no wrong decisions. A wrong decision, what's funny about a wrong decision is what makes it wrong is only you deciding it was a wrong decision. Isn't that crazy? Because what's right for you is very different than maybe a decision for somebody else. They wouldn't view it in the same way. It doesn't matter. All the decisions we made or make in our life, they are the path to our life. That is our life kind of unfolding one decision at a time. And so it's helpful to separate yourself from this idea that there's a wrong decision that you can make. You decide that. That's it. No one else can decide that for you. You decide that. And so this kind of goes back to when you make a decision and it may require you exercise courage and you go all in and you like your reason for going all in and you have your own back, then the only way that that is going to turn out wrong is if you coin it as that. Then don't do that. Never look, I don't encourage people to ever think back and think that was a wrong decision, because that negates all the learning, all the experience that came out of it. Okay. The last thing that I think can be useful for people, just a point to consider, is that every result that you get is based from a decision. I want you to think about that for a second. Every result that you get is based from a decision. So think about today. What's one result you got yourself today? An example that I gave in the class was a client I talked to recently, and she said, when I asked her for a win or a positive of the day, and she said, I took really good care of myself today. And in my head, I was thinking, oh, that's a result she created for herself. That's awesome. And so I said, how did you do that? Like, what makes you say that? And she said, well, I ate a really healthy salad at lunch. I made myself a healthy salad at lunch, and I wanted French fries. And so we kind of laughed together. And in my mind, I'm used to thinking in this way. And so I know, okay, the result she created was she took good care of herself. The decision that she made was to have a healthy salad. But she was telling me, I didn't want a healthy salad. I wanted fries. And I said, why did you make a healthy salad? Like, what was the thing that made you actually do that, follow through and get yourself that result? And she said, well, I thought about it. And the reason I wanted fries is because I wanted the taste of salt and fat in my mouth. That's what I wanted. And we laughed together again. But the crazy thing is, and this is what I want you to see, is that every result you get is based on a decision, and your decisions are always based on reasons in your mind. They stem from reasons in your mind. And a reason is just a sentence in your mind. It's your thought. And everybody has different thoughts. Everybody has a different perspective on things, right? And so for her, when she checked in on what her reason was for wanting fries, she didn't like it. She didn't like her reason. It wasn't good enough. If she hadn't checked herself and she just went with what her craving, right? Her urge to go have fries. If she just went with that, then she would have gotten herself a result that she wasn't really proud of. And the reason that we create results for ourselves that we aren't really proud of is it's always because we did something from a place, we did something from a reason that we really didn't like, but it was unconscious and we just went with it. But because she took a step back and asked herself, like, what's my reason for wanting fries right now? That I just want salt and fat in my mouth? Like, of course I do, right? But the result I want to create is to take really good care of myself. And my self-care is so important to me right now. I've got to stay on my toes. I have a lot on my plate. I need to take care of myself. It's so important right now. And that reason she liked. And that's why she made the salad that she made, which she created the result of taking really good care of herself. So she just backed up and looked at it. And I wanted to give that example so that you can see with something very tiny, very small that we don't give a ton of thought to on a daily basis, like what we're going to have for lunch. But even a decision that small, this plays out. Every result you get is based on a decision. And your decisions are based on reasons that exist in your mind. They're based on the sentences that exist in your mind. They are based on your thinking. And so you have to really check in and make sure you're staying conscious and you're making decisions from a conscious place if you want to produce results that you can get on board with. Now, there's going to be times you should choose the fries. Why? Because you're going to like your reason for it. Maybe it's, if you're a person who always really cares about eating very healthy, which that's not everybody, right? But I'm just using this as an example. If you are someone who cares about eating really healthy, but maybe it's your birthday and you decided that you want the birthday cake or you want the fries or whatever, and you like your reason for it, then you have the fries and you the result you create was you celebrated your birthday with having fries. Like, no big deal. But it's the unconscious little decisions that happen that give us the results we don't actually want. Those are the things that need to go looked at. So on the small scale, on a big scale, on the big decisions that you're very aware of are in front of you and you need to make, it's the same thought process that you have to approach this with. It's the same model. Every result that you get is going to be based on a decision that you made, and the reason that you are making, the reason that exists in your mind is where that decision stems from. It's your unique perspective that offers or paves way to this decision that's going to bring you closer to the result you get. And so if you're trying to decide if you should buy that software, if you're trying to decide if you should hire that person, if you're trying to decide if you need to fire someone, you have to back up and think about, before you make your decision, what are you leaning towards, and do you like your reason for it? And really think through it. So it's so fascinating. And it's just, this whole podcast is meant to just be an awareness tool. You don't have to look at your life under a microscope at every moment. That's exhausting. But if I could just wake some of you up to where you could potentially be more decisive and understand when you are decisive where it's coming from, because it's coming from what you're thinking about. It's coming from your perspective and the reasons that exist in your mind, nothing else. Looking at things from this angle and thinking this way about it and understanding some of what I've given to you today helps you take responsibility for every result you get, which you should take. You are responsible for the results that you get. And it's so easy to look outside of ourselves and point to other things, other reasons why we're getting the results we're getting. Look to you. My advice is to look to you. Look between your ears. Look at what your perspective is, what your reasons are, and then that will shine a light on why you made the decisions that you made, which could be why you got the results that you got. If you look at things from this angle, you will be much more dialed in to the kind of owner you need to be, having this awareness in order to have the kind of firm you want to have. Taking full responsibility for every result you get is deeply important. And this is one angle to give you that allows you to see a way to do that. So it's about progress, not perfection. It's just an awareness tool. And I want you to let these things roll around your mind. And as you approach decisions, whether it's what you're going to have for lunch or whether it's who you should hire, whatever level of decision, check yourself and understand that the decisions that you're making are going to create a result. And you have a lot of influence on how great that result's going to be, no matter what decision you make. If you go all in on your decision, you'll get the best return on your investment for having made that decision. But you also will take a look at the reasons you're making the decision and make sure you like the reasons for making decision, that they aren't from a place of fear and they're not from a place of playing small. They're from a wiser place. They're from a place of, in some cases, a place of taking, a place of courage and just checking in and seeing where you're coming from. What are your reasons for the decisions that you're making? And then go all in and get the best return on your investment. I taught a class today, an advanced level of this class to Mastery Group. And it was great. It was good to talk to them about how they were thinking about some of this. And I gave them a lot more to chew on. I, for example, gave them 9 questions that they can ask themselves when they're struggling to make a decision, like a big decision. So I gave them 9 different questions that they could think through and ask themselves and see which of the 9 are actually useful in that scenario to help them make a great decision. And we went through, I sort of drew out a model and we talked through some other principles. And it was great to have that conversation with them and to learn what's running through their heads. So if you're interested in that and you want to have access to the recording and to the PDF of the slides and all of that, That is in the Velocity Work Vault that is a part of Mastery Group. And so you get access to that when you join Mastery Group, which is velocitywork.com/join if you're interested. But otherwise, you guys have plenty here to run with. And I encourage you to start to wake up with some of the information I've given you here today about yourself and how to make great decisions as you move forward. All right, everybody, have a great week. I will see you here next Tuesday. Hey there. If you enjoyed this podcast, I highly recommend you come and check out Mastery Group. It is where owner attorneys come together to study this material, apply it, and thus create really big results for their firm and for their life. So come on over, velocitywork.com/join to get more information and get started. Show notes from this episode can be found at velocitywork.com/podcast.